Greetings, family. Sister Shanice here. First of all, I want to say thank you so much to all my viewers, subscribers, and Patreons. I much appreciate your support. And if you're not one of my subscribers and not one of my Patreons, what are you waiting for? Please do subscribe and also join me on Patreon. For as little as £3 a month, you will be doing an important work. You will be contributing towards the advancement of us having our own platforms where we can actually talk from an African-centered perspective. Because some of you might be saying, actually, well, why do we need news and reviews from an African-centered perspective? Why? It's because, the information that you hear and you absorb actually shapes your thinking. And whatever you think is going to determine what your plans and what your strategies are going to be. And your plans and strategies is going to determine what your actions are going to be. And your actions is going to determine the extent to which you are contributing or not, whatever the case may be, towards the growth and the development of your race and your people. So for us as melanin-rich people, it's absolutely critical that we are taking in information that's going to be uplifting, that's going to be inspiring to us as a people. Mainstream media does an excellent job at just being so derogatory, so insulting, and so negative about the image that they portray of us as a people that, why some of us are still listening to mainstream, I don't know. But, it's really important that we do have these alternatives. So please, if you are able to do so, please do subscribe, join me on Patreon, and support my live shows as well by sharing. Thank you so much. Right, family, today I've got a very important and serious topic to discuss. When I heard the news that the Gambian authorities has actually seized 3 tons of the devil white powder that they call cocaine when it was coming through the Gambia, firstly, I was relieved, but then secondly, I was so concerned as well. Why was I so deeply concerned? I was deeply concerned because the reality hit me, Serious, dangerous drugs were coming through the continent of Africa. And, I'm only too aware, coming from the West, that drugs in the past has been used as a weapon of mass destruction. Now, we all know that not everyone wants to see Africa rise. We all know that there are those who have been benefiting from exploiting Africa for centuries and would rather that the status quo prevails where they can continue to exploit Africa. And we also know that not everyone wants to see Africans, us melanated people, rise either. Because if we rise, they probably feel that, we will be the superior ones, which we are, of course, and therefore they will be made to feel, less so. And they have, this great privileged position at the moment in society, which the vast majority of them, not all of them maybe, but the vast majority of them would want to keep. So for some, Africa's rising is basically something they don't want to see during their lifetime. And so you can imagine their concern when they read reports written by the UN, for example, their youth population trends report that states that back in 2015, Africa's youth population actually made up 1/5 of the world's youth population. 226 million young Africans between the age of 15 and 24. And if you were to look at those if you were to extend that to those aged below 35, this number actually increases to a staggering, they say, 3/4 of Africa's population. And they actually pointed out that the youth population is growing rapidly. So obviously, as far as they're concerned, this is an issue for them to take some action. And as you know, I'm from the West. And if we look across to America, for example, we can see how the young Africans in America, in particular, have been treated and the sort of policies that they've been using there. And there has been this really sordid, awful history and trail of destruction caused in black communities as a result of this white devil powder that they call cocaine. And to discover that it was all state sanctioned as well makes us realize the extent to which the state is prepared to get involved in our downfall as a people. So if we look at, for example, the San Francisco Bay Area, they had drug rings that were actually selling tons of cocaine to the Crips and the Bloods. And let me read you this little quote. It says, "For the better part of a decade, San Francisco Bay drug area ring sold tons of cocaine to Crips and Bloods street gangs of Los Angeles and funneled millions in drug profits to Latin America, a guerrilla army." Guess who it was run by? Run by the US intelligence agencies. A Mercury News investigation found that out. It goes on to say that this drug network opened the first pipeline between Colombia's cocaine cartels and the black neighborhoods of Los Angeles, a city then known as the crack, a city that became known and was known back then as the crack capital of the world. The cocaine that flooded in actually helped to spark a crack explosion and connections, between rivaling gangs who use the money to buy automatic weapons. Wow, wow, wow. See, this is what happens from drugs to weapons, from weapons to murder, from murder to high prison populations. This is a downward spiral. Drugs, especially, that white evil powder, is a evil drug that is used as a weapon of mass destruction. It's given to young people, they glamorize it, then they get them to organize themselves in gangs, the gangs buy guns, and then they start murdering each other. You get these turf wars, and very quickly everything just spirals out of control. And in the USA, there were a significant number of their major cities, which were largely populated with young melanated men, that experienced this problem. Los Angeles, New York, Chicago, Philadelphia, San Francisco, Washington, D.C., almost an entire youth population, either addicted or impacted by that white evil powder. Almost everyone, as a young person in those cities, knowing family members or people close to them who had died or had been impacted as a result of the drugs. The drugs industry that was secretly actually being run by the CIA under the Reagan administration. So when we're looking at drugs, we have to look to history and learn from what has happened to our people elsewhere around the world where drugs is concerned. Obviously, with this huge drug runs and the war against drug campaign, it exploded the prison population with our young people. New laws that racially targeted young black men and women was dishing out sentences between 5 years to life for the same drugs that they were flooding in our communities. Serious things. So what were they using the drug money for? The CIA and their agencies, according to these reports, were actually using the money to raise funds to buy arms to finance illegal wars aimed at destabilizing and overthrowing governments that were not favorable to the US. This is the last thing Africa needs. Gang wars, turf wars, and lots of young people touting guns, it would ruin the rise of Africa that is happening. So this cocaine powder, they turned it into crack cocaine and they sold it wholesale to gangs across America. And, you know, a lot of people were just unaware that the suppliers, were people of with military and political connections. And they had dope dealers, some had nicknames, you know, it was really awful. So I just really want to highlight the potential dangers to our beautiful young melanated African youths about this white devil powder. And then, you know, the nerve. Once they'd actually, you know, flooded our communities with these drugs, they then turn around, use their media to run propaganda campaigns to suggest that it was our young people and to portray our young people as the evil, wicked doers when they were the victims of a much larger and really demonic agenda. And the propagandists, they ignored the perpetrators but continued to point the finger, you know, at those who were addicted and those who got caught up in the whole drug thing. So, you know, this is why it's so important that Africa protects itself. And, you know, young people, do not take that white devil powder. Stay away from it. It is addictive. It will ruin your life. It will destroy your life and the life of your family members as well. And, you know, it's so important that we give credit to the Gambian authorities that intercepted this drug, 3 tons of cocaine with a street value of over $88 million. They intercepted it, they did the right thing, and they stopped that particular haulage going through Africa, because inevitably some of that haulage and some of that cocaine would have been dropped off along the way, fueling or starting to fuel a drugs epidemic and wars between rival gangs in Africa. That is the last thing Africa needs. We've been enjoying peace, you know, to a large extent for a couple of decades now, and what Africa doesn't want is to return to those days of old where, you know, outsiders were able to manipulate us, divide us, and fuel wars between us. This is a new day. Africa is rising. There may be those who don't look like us, don't like us, who don't want to see Africa rise, but our priority objective absolutely has to be working towards the growth, the development, and the upliftment of us as a people and of our nation, Mama Africa, and us as Africans wherever we are in the world. So family, young people, stay away from that white devil powder. Gambian authorities, keep doing the great works. Other African authorities who are, you know, responsible for the ports and the airplanes, please be extra vigilant, and any drugs that you come across, burn it, burn it, burn it. Let's all work together to save Africa and to build Africa so that she can become the great nation again that she once was, the great continent that she once was and certainly will be again. Thank you so much for watching and for listening. Please hit the like button and the subscribe button. If you don't have a YouTube account, set one up. All you need is an email to do so. Then you'll be able to subscribe and support the works. And you can always support me on Patreon as well. Thanking you so much in advance, and see you on one of my next videos. Sister Shanice out of here for now. More love, more strength, more power, and more voodoo.